Howdy
What's
ho,
good, my
campers.
dudes?
All right,
So,
all right. Take it right.
so Brian, what did you know about these Bearcats that apparently me and the dude were missing this week? Because they are making Iowa State look pretty silly this first half.
I've just watched these guys play. I watched them play the heart out last week and get that win in overtime. I mean, and they're doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. Iowa looks sloppy. They
Yeah,
just
they're having a tough time.
they do not look good, man. They they're stumbling over each other. They're missing throws. They can't get any legs. I will say one thing is that Iowa State's running back, 24, Sama, that dude's running hard. He's not getting a lot, but he is running
No,
hard.
yeah, he's only had 6 carries for 56 yards so far, but as compared to was it Pryor on the Bearcat side, he's already picked up 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Did you guys see him
The
truck?
same amount of carries.
Oh man, he just destroyed a kid. It was bad. Number 14, just head down and put his ass in the dirt. And it was impressive, man. I mean, those guys are. I mean, the Bearcats are just out physicaling on each side of the ball. Each line's doing better. They're just playing stronger, playing meaner. And they look like they're fired up and wanting to close out the game. I mean, they had a little targeting call that got them a little help for Iowa State, but they didn't even. They're just sloppy, man. It doesn't look good.
Right, and do you think if the Bearcats pull this out, does that take Iowa State out of the top 25?
Absolutely, yeah. I think
Yeah.
they're showing. I think they're showing Iowa State exactly who they are, and everybody else at the same time.
I mean,
Right, I
I'm
think
just
the dude
saying.
I was about to say, I think the dude had called that they might have been a little overhyped.
Mm-hmm. So good for the Bearcats. I told you guys in the pregame show to check out that game, and boy, they showing out.
I got it up right now. Another one I've been watching too is the Clemson North Carolina game. Y'all caught any of that?
A little
Yeah, I
bit.
caught a little bit of that.
That first play was kind of set the tone for the game for those guys.
It
Though.
really did. But I mean, credit to Dabo coming out. Those are one of those plays that if it doesn't work, it comes up as a huge loss play, and then everybody's like, "Oh, that's the worst coaching decision ever." But because it was
Right.
successful, they're like,
Mhm.
"Clemson's coming out to play."
Yeah.
And I've just heard that the comment is overall the energy of the entire stadium has just completely been drained since that play and going forwards. And Clemson's got all the momentum right now.
Right.
Well, that's what you want to do. I mean, that really people fail to take into account that extra factor, that extra momentum, the energy from the crowd that you're putting out there. You either want to capture that or destroy that, depending on what role you're playing in the game. And when you do that, that is a huge boon for you. That is when you get those momentum swings. That is when you get the train coming off, and then you get your snowball.
Yeah, we were talking Heisman picks on the show this week. How are we feeling about Klubnik right now? He's rocking 17 for 18, 179 yards, 3 touchdown passes. I think there's about to be 4 right here. He's putting up some good stats. Does he get some redemption here, or you think he's still out of the conversation?
I think he's out of the conversation, unfortunately, just being the program that he is in and what they are doing. Now, if there was a huge upset right now and we saw them kind of come around, maybe I'm not seeing that in the cards for them, unfortunately. And I think for him to be in consideration, he would have to be putting out nothing but better performance than this from every point forward. And he would have had to have already had that pattern of consistency and demonstrating that he is capable of that. And since we don't have that, I don't see him getting in the mix.
While you were saying that his stats updated, it went to 303 yards passing.
3,000 yards this game.
They heard. They're like, all right, we got to dissuade the dude. The North Carolina fans are leaving in mass droves right now, too, as they're showing footage of.
You
Hate it
hate
for
to see that.
No, because I was watching
Really
game day there for a little bit, and Belichick was on, and the running joke apparently on those guys were that he was just going to one-word answer the whole 10-minute segment or whatever. But he actually did a good job. I watched. He kind of early on, it was kind of But as you went along, they started talking about his relationship with Saban and all that kind of stuff, and it was pretty good segment. So I hate to see him have this kind of turning of a leaf as a coach for college and all that, and then you just coming out and getting skull drug.
Well, I mean, he's too busy, playing high school makeout on the sidelines and giving his girlfriend her snack money when she runs off to the concession stand, instead of focusing on what kind of formation they're about to put out there. Such is life.
Well, Yep. Now he's getting penance for it too. 35-3, Clemson's up on North Carolina. Ooh,
tough,
ouchies. Meanwhile,
That was
Bearcats
tough.
scored another touchdown too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if they pull that out and have that momentum shift for the rest of the season, but that's a very big if, very highly unlikely in my
For Cincinnati?
book. Yeah, I think that
Mm.
unfortunately it's not going to be them maintaining. This is just revealing the weakness that is or that is in Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective. I've
Right,
been
and
wrong
I don't
before.
think – sorry, and I don't think Cincinnati's got a good enough schedule to really impress anybody the rest of the season. I mean, the only question mark game might be BYU on November 22nd, but, I don't think BYU is anything for them to worry about if they're playing like this.
We'll see.
We will see.
All right, what about the Badgers and the Wolverines? They just cut into half before we get into halftime of this Kentucky-Georgia game too. Low-scoring game, 10-7. Wolverines over the Badgers right now. Y'all caught any of that?
Isn't it true that Wisconsin does not have their starting quarterback? Is that true or not true? Was there a report? I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's a pretty pathetic quarterback showing either way. Hunter
That's
Simmons
what I'm
is
saying.
who's throwing right now. He's 9 for 12 for 84 yards, while Bryce Underwood for Michigan is 4 for 9 for 55 yards passing so far. So huge defensive game. Probably
think
something
that's gonna
similar.
shift?
We would go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think that's something that's gonna shift after halftime? I've kind of shifted more of my secondary eyeballs on that game at the moment. And I don't know. Are we thinking Wisconsin's a little bit better, or are we thinking Michigan just ain't that good?
I think I was about to say, I think we're going with the latter for that for sure.
Yeah, Michigan is the poo-poo, and they're getting exactly what they deserve.
I don't think they're straight poo-poo, but I definitely don't think they are top 25 material. I think that this should be an unranked matchup and just an all-out brawl for who can be top in the Midwest in their minds when they're not Ohio State.
I think this game should be Michigan as a bubble team and need to demonstrate that they deserve to be in the top 25. And then this is the game where they break out into it, or this is the game where they stay as an unranked team. But you know how the 25 poll works. A lot of that is heavily weighted on preseason rankings, and then ditzy voters who don't even watch the games or care.
Yeah, where's Notre Dame right now?
Well, I think if they get one more win, they will be number 1 ranked. By
Well, what do you?
I was gonna say the Wildcats about to put some more points on the board, possibly.
They're trying to. They only got a couple seconds left. Oh, they shanked the kick.
Shame.
You're ahead of the time for me then, because I'm watching the kicker lineup. Spoiler alert.
I always watch the camera feeds. I don't watch the TV feed.
Oh, that's been a rough outing. I was honestly, I was watching the Iowa State and the Georgia game the most, back and forth. That's where my eyeballs really were, and honestly, back and forth about as even as I could, because I obviously had a dog in the hunt for Cincinnati. I wanted to see how they were doing. But
it seems to be a solid call so far. I will definitely give you those kudos there on that one, my man. Now, when the evening games come along and some incredible upset calls come out to play, then we'll really see.
But the Bulldogs, man, I really wanted to see how they were going to respond to the loss to Alabama. I was expecting them to come out a little more hot and heavy in the game. I really was. I was expecting a little more fire out of them just to come out here and set a tone. But man, I'm not trying to take anything away from Kentucky because I think that they're a pretty good football team. They're not very great, they're not stellar by any means, but they have stifled Georgia in a lot of ways. There's not a lot of yards here. The statistic that really stuck out to me early in the pregame for Georgia was that Gunnar Stockton is is ranked third for throwing screens in college football right now. And I don't know if that's because they're not trusting him to get down the field or, hey, he hasn't progressed enough to be able to read the defenses they want him to. I'm not real sure. And then he throws the pick. So I'm not real sure if it's a confidence level thing with him or what, because he looked like he was playing pretty hard, ran in for that first touchdown, but then it kind of fizzled.
Yeah, and by the numbers, I mean, Boley's had a better game than him. He's 12 for 16, 125 yards and a touchdown to Stockton's 11 and 19, 107 yards, and then the pick that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That first drive, he came out very strong. He looked super sharp, but ever since that, he hasn't so much.
Just kind of.
I will say that the pick I viewed as more of a defensive standout than a failure from the offense to execute there. Now, aside from that, I have absolutely seen some failure to execute on the offensive side of the ball. Just that one particular play happened to be great defensive play. So kudos given we're necessary on that. So let's look forward a bit real quick and think about some of the stuff that we are about to get to enjoy after we see how these few games play out. We see maybe another potential upset that more and more people are saying.
Somebody might have said something.
I mean, I believe in Arch. I'm sticking with the Texans.
I think the Longhorns are going to absolutely still win the game, but I would love to see the Gators make it interesting. For sure.
Yeah. And I mean, the program is the Florida Gators, and even if you don't like them, you have to feel some type of way when a good, solid, historical program is just floundering at this level. And I hate it for the boys. I hate it for the ones who signed up to be part of a SEC powerhouse team with a decent shot at a very good couple of seasons, and then they get there and this is what they got.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that. I would love to see Lagway really be able to showcase his skills, but at this point, we'll see.
A lot of the talk has been that Florida's just holding on. They're just barely holding on to whatever they've got left, and if they don't go out and have a serious showing in this game, I might be inclined to believe you with your win philosophy there. I just think that they're going to lose all hope in any win that's not a powder puff game, and it's just they have a lot of those. Toughest schedule in football as far as I'm concerned. Top three, definitely. So I definitely took Texas. I think Texas is going to win. I do think Florida is going to try to give them a game in the first half, but I think by the fourth quarter we're going to see alternates in the game. It's not going to be pretty.
That's a bold statement right there. I don't know if I'd go that far, but
yeah, I don't know if I could jump on that. I mean, I think the spread when we had covered it was 6.5 that Texas needed to cover. I think they will cover it as we said on the show. But I would love to see it be a one-score difference, maybe one touchdown, maybe even 10 points, and see any SEC team. And we'll give this credit to Kentucky, too, and I think you were kind of harping on this earlier, is that if you are an SEC school, you are a good football team, even if maybe you're struggling against other SEC opponents throughout the season. But I think that Florida, there's an argument to be made for Florida being a good football team. They just have one of the worst schedules, as you mentioned, but they really need to come out in this game to prove everybody wrong. Because let's say hypothetically, they're at home, they win here against Texas. I think they carry that momentum into Texas A&M next week, and they can actually exploit them and win that game. Mississippi State the week after that. That'd be 3 big wins in a row before they would come up against Georgia. They'd have Kentucky after that, so it could be a decent season overall. But then, unfortunately, got Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. But
I think it is way too early in the day to be drinking that heavily. I don't see that happening.
But I said, but as I've called on the show, and I'm saying here again, I don't see Texas letting this one go. I think that this is their first big true test since that first week against Ohio State, and they need to definitively win an SEC game.
Yeah, I'd love to see it too. I just don't see it.
Team.
Yeah, I don't see it, man. I feel like they're already kind of, like I said, just hanging on bare knuckles, and Texas is not the team to have to beat to get your season going. It's just not. And I don't care who's. It's just that is a tall undertaking, and I would love for college football and for the SEC to see a Florida team be able to do that, and Napier kind of get his nuts back, I guess. But it's just I don't see it happening, man. It's just they've been clipped. I think they're going to remain clipped, and I believe that this is going to be one of the worst seasons Florida's had in a long time.
I don't disagree. I'm just going to be playing devil's advocate here to the way that could possibly go if Florida was going to pull out an amazing upset. But it ain't going to happen.
So on the note of Florida teams, we've got Hurricanes, we've got Florida State. We want to talk about Florida State action. I will say that quarterback they got there, he's a solid dude too. I mean, there's a couple of Warriors out there this season.
He's not Sid, though. He's not Sid.
Well, all the hype this morning, at least from what I saw through game day, everybody seems to be jumping on the Miami train pretty definitively.
Yeah,
but interesting here on SportsBallTalk, I think we all had the Canes pulling this one out. Oh, I'm sorry, I had the Noles pulling this one out.
I think that, like I said, I think that quarterback is a solid dude. I think that the program as a whole deserves a little bit more respect than they've been given. I think that they showed out against Bama, and especially if we're given more and more stock in the Crimson Tide as it is now, that only makes that loss not look so bad for Florida State. Now, Miami, I just don't like Beck. I do not think the last week, I don't think he really put out the effort, the numbers, or the energy that I needed to see. One, as a Heisman candidate, and two, as a leader of a potential playoff team. I think out of these two teams, Florida State maybe deserves it a little bit more. And I think this matchup, regardless, will be a great one because both teams are of a good caliber. I'm not saying that the Hurricanes are completely overrated and it's just a turd spray painted gold or anything like that. I'm saying that two solid teams. I think the edge goes to the Noles. And when that game starts, I will, I'll be in it.
One of the best chants. One of the best chants.
Hands down. I think, hands down. That's up there. I wish I was a Florida State fan so that I could enjoy that chant fully, but I just can't be a Florida State fan.
I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show prior too, but my grandfather was part of the original football team of FSU in its inception. So there's a part of me that will always be pulling for them, except for that one year when they had Jameis Winston and beat Auburn for the Natty.
Well, in our last Dude Bros podcast episode, I had a little rant on crab legs, as Ryan likes to call them. But we'll get into that. And viewers, you check that episode when it comes out next week. Yeah. Going on to this game, is there anything specific that you're looking for, or are you just expecting it to be a good game?
Well, I want to jump in here because I feel like a lot of the pregame and a lot of the talk about this game has leaned on Miami's defense because their defense has been very good this year. Very, very good. Even Coach Saban, that was one of his pressing points on the pick was that Miami's defense is absolutely stellar. We're going to find out. We're going to find out today. So I don't know if that's going to be the case because the Noles are putting up points. The Noles, they got some big boys over there. They can push people around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But on the defensive note, do not sleep on the Seminoles. I already said they have a good quarterback, but he does like to throw picks, just like Beck likes to throw picks. I already called it This game is going to be heavy on the turnovers. We will absolutely see these quarterbacks throw up a few more INTs. We will absolutely. That's why this game will be thoroughly entertaining, just for that back and forth aspect of it. I agree. This will be edge of your seat, and hopefully both teams. There's no morale flip, we'll say. Hopefully both teams maintain that dog and stay in the fight the whole way through, and we really get a true showing of what we deserve. We're sacrificing a lot.
Well, it's not hard to sell out a house half and half when it's an intrastate. You know what I'm saying? Right. Especially when these programs are both doing so well. Yeah,
that's what really like I said, it takes away a lot of that home field advantage and really makes it where that momentum is going to shift back and forth instead of just flopping over and having half your stadium fill out in the first quarter.
Well, those ticket prices were one of the higher ones when we were talking about it in our picks. I think they were $320 right around there, and I'm sure that they've only gone up since then.
I'm glad you brought that up, because as the resident nerd and numbers guy, I will say that only 6 games had ticket prices that increased after we recorded for our episode. Every other game, the sales decreased, the price decreased.
Interesting.
So I don't know if there's just not a lot of desire to go to these games, if the media coverage is becoming so good that people would prefer to sit at home, watch it there, tailgate, in their own communities, etc. Or is it a financial thing, belts getting tighter, wallets getting thinner, all that. You hate to see it, because there's some really good games, but the ones that are going to be tight, those prices, like I said, I might skip a meal to go see a good game,
My last little bit here, I'm just going to harp on what we discussed on the show. What do I want to see in tonight? Really, I would not need to see Carson Beck prove that he's Heisman material, prove that Miami deserves to be in the spot that they're in, to then go forward and solidify themselves in this playoff as one of the final contenders in that national championship in January. And if he doesn't, I would love to see, as I've got picked, that the Noles come out and pull a close win over these Canes.
It's going to be.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward, obviously, to the Vanderbilt-Alabama game, but I really am looking forward to this Florida rivalry game. And the coach has really gone out of his way this game week to hype up the mentality that, hey, this is our rivalry game. This is our state. That's seen a few little hype clips like that, him talking to the fans, getting the student body involved. And you like to see that. That's what really brings that extra spark to the game. And
speaking of hype, we're getting lots and lots of footage right now in this halftime of this Vanderbilt-Alabama game from 2024, which I would love to hear Brian's feelings on that as we're going in here now.
Oh, did they play before? I don't even remember that.
I'm just losing connection as you can't hardly hear you guys. I think last year you got to see the emergence of Diego Pavia, and he showed out in that game. I mean, he really did. And he's done – I had not really delved into his past as much until this year, just knowing that, the transfer situation. He followed the coach to Vandy. They really did reestablish a culture there. And it's good to see that when it goes well. When it doesn't, like in Florida – it just kind of falls apart and will absolutely just demoralize a fan base. But in Vanderbilt, they have not only rebuilt the culture, they brought the fan base back. These people are showing up to the games. They're cheering on their teams. They're buying merchandise. Here's my thought, and this is me being as unbiased as I can. If Vandy goes out and wins this game today and Diego shows out, I honestly think these guys can make a run in the playoffs. They're that good. If they don't, and they play a good game and it's close, I still think they can make a run in the playoffs. But, the rankings and how all that shit piles out, or SEC, you only get so many bids, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I do believe in Diego as a quarterback. I think he's very good. But at this point, Ty Simpson is my Heisman candidate, man. He is shown himself to be a leader. He has shown himself to be a dude bro. He's got the backing of the team.
Backing a one.
Yeah, I like what he's putting out. Great clip, by the way. Great clip, by the way. You guys go watch the short. It's great. But to see camaraderie like that and know that the team's behind him, that they're his interview at the end of the game last week was big for me. He was obviously filled with emotion. His after,
and you
it
felt
was,
that you really loved it,
Right. And as an Alabama fan, that's what I need out of my quarterback. Somebody that's invested. He's there. That's his program. This is his state. This is our team. He was coaching, talking up his guys. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see whining little baby bitch whining about the offensive line or the stupid coach that called a stupid play or, anything like that. He is absolutely fully invested there and is drinking the Kool-Aid, and I love it.
I'm about that. I will say, I think both quarterbacks, extremely talented, have a lot to offer, are going to go far and absolutely have a career down the road. Now, I will say, well, here, first little fun fact, Vanderbilt quarterback, old Diego, his attorneys secured a win for him this past Monday, which was they secured yet another year of eligibility for him, should he be so inclined. So he is now eligible to play at Vanderbilt again next year. And we're on year, I guess technically that would be year 8 of college. Isn't
he 24?
But you got to think, if you are getting the money, if you're getting paid at a higher level now, I mean, maybe it makes sense for some of these players to stay in the college game longer. And I've actually seen what is a kind of scary statistic if you're a young football player, is that the majority of these big recruiting programs are no longer going to be getting multiple wide receivers, multiple they're not going to be getting a lot of these out of high school. They would rather go to the portal and get someone who has been developed, because it doesn't make financial sense to develop in a young talent. So I think this NIL thing is going to cause a little bit of a bubble, year to 3 years probably, whenever they resolve it. And then we have to have that hiccup that follows along, where you're going to have potentially a pool of not so talented players for a year or two as you reestablish having to get new people in and build them up, because they're going to have to put a cap on this NIL thing and straighten that out. And I fear for the season that follows that. But we'll see.
I think you bring up a good point too, of the benefit of hanging in college longer and getting the money from that, rather than, not everybody's going to make that NFL cut. Not every player is going to thrive in that NFL environment. And I think from what I've seen of Pavia, do I think he could take it to the NFL? I don't know. I might have some question marks, especially on his size, on how that would play out. So to make your money while you can, while you're at the collegiate level, that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I necessarily agree with it, but I do understand it. And as the game is set up right now, I understand playing it that way. But I'll shift gears back to Ty for the quarterback situation there. As our short highlighted, there's very intimate relationship between him and his star receiver there. It's good to have that rapport going on to establish that, and that's when you can throw it to maybe a potential riskier space than you normally would, but because you have that connection, you've got a little bit more trust. They've got more trust in you. They're going to put forth that little bit of effort, and that's where you get some really, really cool plays. And as we already know, Mr. Williams is a talented young man. So if you're giving him any extra little buff, that is only going to make the show that much better,
And he's going to really need to play at his topmost tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. He can't have any more drops. He can't have any more of the yips. He needs to absolutely be making these big plays, getting those yards after catch. And otherwise, I think that if Vandy, as I called on the show earlier this week, if Vandy comes out and puts everything on the line and they're going for it on fourth down and Pavia is sacrificing the body, they're going to be a very tough team to stop.
And they still lose.
Well, I think if Ty Simpson can use them feet a little bit more that will give Bama the edge. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's quarterback has, heads and spades above him in terms of mobility, in terms of running the football, in terms of just shifting around in the pocket.
Yeah.
I think that alone is going to be maybe the deciding factor when it comes down at the end of the day, because one team's better here, one team's better here, and it all pretty much balances out. But the one spot where an individual can truly make a difference there is going to be that quarterback slot. And this game, this is truly going to be a matchup of quarterback talent. And I think that's why you have seen so much media hype behind it. So many, quarterback face off.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I kind of want to put a button on this because we're probably about to run back into the games. Watch out for that Texas Tech game. I think that is going to be an absolute shootout, man. I think
Them
that
Raiders.
is going to be a good one. Yeah, I do. I like the Raiders. I obviously took them. They obviously spent a massive amount of money on their defense in the offseason. They brought in a lot of talent, and it is showing. I think they're
Houston. That's a bubble team. That's
exactly what I was about to say. Houston is 4-0, I believe, and they're playing good football. And I kind of watched a skit about one of their coaches. He is going through some stuff, so that team's really rallied together. They're obviously one voice right now. So one sound, one band, that whole deal. Yeah, exactly. That whole deal. So it's going to be a good game, but I still think I think Texas Tech wins it just because they're on fire, man, on all sides of the ball. And I just think they're going to be too much for Houston, and Houston's house. And I hate it for them because watching all the sentimental stuff with Houston's team and all the stuff that they've gone through, you want them to win. That's the feel good story, but I just don't see it. I don't see them winning out even at home.
I understand that. Well, GB,
I don't
any final
disagree.
words?
Let's see the Dogs finish up on these Wildcats. What do you say, fellas?
Well,
Yes,
they
sir.
better.
We'll see if the Bearcats hold out. We'll see if the Wildcats get to scratching. A lot of cat action. Catch you folks later.
Bye, guys.